There's a subtle, almost sacred transformation that happens within us after the age of 70. It's not just about counting more birthdays or recalling decades past. It's deeper than that. It's a quiet awakening, a shift in how we experience time and purpose. At this stage of life, we begin to understand that it's no longer about striving for more, but about safeguarding what truly brings us serenity. The noise of the world starts to matter less, and inner peace becomes the most valuable currency we possess. What many don't speak about, but should, is that aging gracefully isn't just about learning new things or adopting new habits. It's equally about knowing what to release. There are words we no longer need to say, places we no longer need to go, and people whose presence may no longer nourish our spirit. Letting go isn't a loss, it's a liberation. In fact, the most powerful form of self-care after 70 is the courage to walk away from what no longer aligns with our well-being. This message is a quiet but bold invitation to anyone in their 70s or beyond who is ready to enter this chapter, not diminished or forgotten, but refined, lighter in burden, sharper in wisdom, and more grounded in peace than ever before. It's not about retreating from life. It's about releasing the unnecessary so your truest self can rise. And it begins often with language, with the words we speak to ourselves and others. So let's start there. 3 phrases you should never say after 70. They may seem harmless, even habitual, but they carry emotional weight that can silently keep you tethered to a version of yourself you've outgrown. But before we dive in, like this video, and if you're new here, subscribe for more insightful content like this, and leave a comment saying, "I subscribed," so we can welcome you personally. 1. Back in my day, things were better. This phrase often slips out without much thought, a quiet comparison between yesterday and today. And while it may seem harmless, it's often a reflection of subtle disappointment, a yearning for the familiar comfort of the past. Nostalgia is a beautiful thing. It warms the heart and honors the life we've lived. But when we begin to elevate the past above the present, we unintentionally cast a shadow over the life we're still living. The danger lies not in remembering, but in retreating. When we say, "back in my day," too often, we risk building an emotional wall that separates us from the beauty of now. It's easy to overlook the simple joys, the steam rising from your morning cup of tea, the light that dances through your curtains, the innocent laughter of a grandchild nearby. These moments, though quiet, are just as sacred. Yes, the world has changed, and yes, it may feel unfamiliar at times, but that doesn't mean it's worse, only different. Your spirit, your presence, your wisdom, these have not diminished. They have matured. So let the past inspire you, not imprison you. Carry its warmth in your heart, but plant your soul firmly in the present, where life still unfolds in 1,000 tiny, beautiful ways. 2. I'm too old to change. This is not just a phrase. It's a boundary we draw around ourselves, a quiet surrender to fear disguised as acceptance. But here's the truth. Age doesn't stop growth. Only fear does. Saying "I'm too old to change" is like closing a door that was never really locked. It silences potential. It shuts out curiosity. But as long as your heart is beating and your mind is awake, you are still in motion, still becoming, still evolving. You are not a finished story. You are a living, breathing chapter. Change doesn't have to be monumental. It could be trying a new food, picking up a forgotten hobby, learning to send a photo to a loved one with your phone, or even releasing an old resentment you've carried like a stone in your pocket for years. These small acts, these gentle shifts are powerful. They affirm that you are not stuck. You are still writing your legacy, and it's never too late to add something beautiful. 3. I wish I had. Perhaps the heaviest words of all are the ones that echo with regret. I wish I had traveled more. I wish I had spoken up. I wish I had taken that risk. These words carry the ache of missed chances. And the weight of that ache doesn't stay in the past. It finds its way into the silence of today, coloring your mornings with sadness and your nights with restless wonderings. But here's something deeply freeing. Your story isn't finished yet. Regret will anchor you to yesterday. But hope brings you back to the present, where life still has room for redemption, for kindness, for joy. Yes, maybe you didn't do that thing, but what can you do now? Can you write that letter? Offer that apology? Smile at that stranger? Open your heart again, even if just a little? The final chapters of life are not where meaning ends. They are often where it becomes most profound. So let go of the words that keep you anchored to sorrow. Replace them with new ones. I still can. Because you can. You still can. Love, forgive, laugh, grow. And that is the quiet miracle of being alive. Now let's step into something just as important. Not the things you should do after 70, but the things you should stop doing. Not because life has ended, but because this stage of your life deserves more clarity, more intention, and more peace. Your energy is no longer something to be wasted. Your time is no longer something to be negotiated. And your heart, your beautiful, battle-tested heart, deserves to be protected, like sacred ground. 1. Stop seeking approval from the younger generation. This is a quiet burden that many carry without realizing it, the subtle urge to be validated by your children, grandchildren, or younger peers. It may show up in the need to stay relevant, to keep up with trends, to fit into conversations that no longer reflect your world. But here's the quiet truth you need to hear. You have nothing left to prove. You've endured storms they haven't even seen forming on the horizon. You've raised families, made impossible decisions, buried pieces of your heart, and rebuilt yourself with a resilience that can't be captured in a caption or a filter. Their approval, while sweet, is not required. Because you are not fading, you are refining. Let them chase trends. Let them be loud. Let them find themselves in a world of constant noise. You are the stillness they don't yet understand. You are the lighthouse, not the ship. Speak only when it matters. Stand tall in your story. You no longer need to explain yourself. You are the living evidence of a life fully lived. 2. Stop holding on to what no longer serves you. Whether it's a house full of forgotten clothes, a drawer of memories, or relationships that drain your spirit. Many of us hold on because we're afraid of what life looks like without them. We fear the silence, the empty space, the unknown. But here's the truth. Letting go is not losing. Letting go is choosing peace over clutter, freedom over fear. You don't have to carry everything just because you always have. That old chair, that routine that leaves you tired, that phone call that never brings joy. It's okay to release them. Clear out not just the physical but the emotional clutter too. The grudges you've nurtured for years, the outdated expectations, the roles you played that no longer bring light into your life. Letting go doesn't mean you've given up. It means you've finally made room to breathe, to rest, to feel joy again. This is how you find yourself, not in what you hold on to, but in what you're finally free to let go of. 3. Stop replaying. What you've lost after 70, loss is part of the landscape. Friends who've passed, children who've grown, chapters that have quietly closed. But mourning is not meant to be your identity. You are not your grief. You are what remains. You are the arms that still hold love, the soul that still feels wonder, the eyes that still see beauty in a sunrise. Loss may be part of your story, but it doesn't get to write the ending. When you wake up in the morning, instead of listing what's gone, start noticing what's still here. The warmth in your bed, the sound of birdsong, the voice of someone who still checks in on you. And in those small, sacred moments, say gently to yourself, I still have this moment, and I choose peace. There's a special kind of strength in knowing what to stop doing. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the grace of someone who knows that their light is too precious to be dimmed by old patterns and unhealed wounds. And we're not done yet. Because peace isn't just about what you say or do. It's also about where you go and who you allow into your space. The next part of this journey goes even deeper, into the places, the energies, and the people that either protect your peace or quietly poison it. And that's exactly where we're headed next. Let's now move into the next chapter of this message. 3 places you should never go after 70. And when we speak of places, we're not just talking about geography. These are emotional landscapes, mental territories, and social environments that drain your spirit instead of nourishing it. Because after 70, your time is not just limited, it's sacred. Your energy, your peace, your presence, they are precious resources, not to be wasted on spaces that don't value your existence. You've earned the right, no, the responsibility, to walk away from anything that dishonors the light you still carry. 1. Never go where your dignity isn't respected. Sometimes these places are hidden in plain sight. A family gathering where you're spoken to like a child, a religious space where your presence feels invisible, a phone call that leaves you questioning your worth. And the truth is, many of us go to these places out of habit, loyalty, or guilt, even when we walk away feeling smaller than when we arrived. But in this stage of life, dignity is not optional. It is essential. It's not a favor someone gives you. It's the foundation you stand on. If a space, physical or emotional, requires you to shrink in order to belong, it's not your space anymore. You no longer need to prove your worth, raise your voice to be heard, or tolerate subtle jabs dressed as jokes. If someone can't honor your journey, your presence, your wisdom, then it's perfectly okay to choose silence over that room. Walk away gently, not in anger, but in honor of yourself, because your peace is not negotiable. 2. Never stay where you're tolerated instead of celebrated. There's a world of difference between being invited and being welcomed. Too often, people over 70 are included out of duty, not delight. You're added to the guest list, yes, but are you truly seen? The conversation moves around you. The attention is elsewhere. Your wisdom is politely acknowledged but rarely embraced. That kind of energy, it wears you down slowly, quietly. It makes you feel like you're just filling a seat, not fulfilling a purpose. But here's the truth. Your presence is a gift. You should be in places where people lean in when you speak, where your stories aren't just tolerated but treasured, where your laugh is music, your insights are sought after, and your name is spoken with warmth. At this point in life, you deserve to be around people who light up when you enter a room, not those who glance at the clock waiting for you to leave. Don't settle for spaces that make you feel invisible. Find the circles that celebrate you, your history, your humor, your heart. That's where your soul will breathe easiest. 3. Never return to past pain, hoping to heal it. Now this one isn't about geography, it's about memory. And it's often the hardest one to let go of. So many people over 70 quietly revisit their pain, rereading old letters, replaying old arguments, wishing a certain moment had ended differently. They walk through emotional ruins hoping that this time they'll find peace in the wreckage. But more often than not, healing doesn't live there anymore. Some wounds are not meant to be reopened. Some chapters don't need rewrites. They need closure. You've already survived it. You already carried that burden once, maybe for years. You don't have to carry it again just to make sense of it. Say to yourself, I did what I could, with what I had. At the time, I had it. That's enough. You are not responsible for what they never understood, for what was never said, or for how others responded. The past is not your home, it's your history. And now, it's time to live forward. Not in denial of your pain, but in honor of your healing. Let the past rest in peace. So you can too. There's a quiet strength in knowing where not to go, in choosing peace over performance, in protecting your soul like the sacred thing it is. And as we continue, we'll go even deeper, because the final part of this message is about the people you should no longer give access to after 70, not out of pride, but out of protection, because your circle may grow smaller, but it should grow purer. Now for the final part of this message, 3 people you should never meet after 70. This isn't about becoming cold or shutting people out. It's about protecting the most sacred space you now own, your emotional well-being. Because at this stage of life, every person you allow near your mind, heart, or home has a profound effect on your peace, your energy, your self-worth. You've seen what people are capable of, their grace, their cruelty, their kindness, and their carelessness. And now, more than ever, you have the right to be intentional about who you allow beside you on this journey. 1. Never meet the one who only talks about what you've lost. You know the type. Every conversation turns into a slow, heavy list. Illnesses, funerals, disappointments, stories steeped in sorrow. They don't talk about what's still blooming, only about what has faded. And little by little, being around them feels like walking through fog, losing sight of the sun. Grief is real, and shared sorrow has its place. But if someone can't look up long enough to notice what's still beautiful, a morning breeze, a kind smile, a new beginning, then they will pull you into their gloom. You need people who remind you of what still warms your heart, who talk about what still makes them laugh, what still makes life worth waking up for. Life isn't over, not even close. And you don't need someone pointing to the endings when there are still so many middles and new beginnings waiting to be lived. 2. Never meet the one who sees you as a burden. Sometimes this person is polite on the surface, but their energy tells the truth. They help out of duty, not affection. They sigh when you ask for something, rush your stories, glance at the clock, and rarely meet your eyes. Being treated like a task, like something to manage, slowly eats away at your spirit. It can make you question whether you're allowed to take up space, to need anything, to exist unapologetically. But let's be clear, you are not a burden. You are not extra weight. You are not too much. You are a living archive of strength, survival, love, and experience. If someone cannot care for you with warmth, then love yourself enough to step back. You deserve more than reluctant kindness. You deserve joy in the company you keep. 3. Never meet the one who keeps you small. This one might come from someone who loves you, which makes it even harder to recognize. They say things like, "That's not for your age. Don't bother trying that now. It's better to stay safe, stay quiet, stay home." And over time, without meaning to, you begin to shrink, not in size, but in spirit. You stop trying new things. You stop asking bold questions. You stop dreaming. And the worst part, you start believing they might be right. But they're not. You are still becoming. Age may change your pace, but it doesn't end your evolution. You don't need protectors. You need encouragers. People who say, "Go for it, try it, speak up, you still can." This chapter of life is not about shrinking. It's about expanding into your truth, fully, freely, without apology. Because when it all comes down to it, who you spend time with, where you go, what you say, and what you do, it all adds up to the quality of your days. and these days are sacred. So let go of what dims your light. Stop doing what drains your spirit. Walk away from places and people that make you feel small. Instead, speak only what uplifts. Move only in peace. Go only where your spirit feels safe. And meet only those who see your worth. You are not in your final chapter. You are in your finest chapter. A chapter where you are no longer chasing approval but embracing freedom. A chapter where your life becomes lighter, clearer, richer, not because you've done more, but because you've finally let go of what doesn't belong. Let this be your quiet revolution. And if you've made it this far, take a moment. Breathe in. Let every word settle gently into your heart. This isn't a list of rules. It's a gentle reminder, from one soul to another, that life after 70 isn't about fading. It's about refining. You're not less than you once were. You are more aware of what matters, more protective of your peace, more ready to honor your spirit. If any part of this message spoke to you, carry it with you, not as a burden, but as a blessing. Let it guide you when you feel uncertain. Let it comfort you when old doubts come knocking. Let it remind you that you are still becoming. You're not too late, you're right on time. For this moment, for this peace, for this chapter. And if this message gave you something, clarity, calm, or even just a small flicker of hope, share it. With someone you love, with someone who's struggling, or even as a quiet note to yourself. Because aging isn't something we go through alone. It's something we rise through together. We'll see you in the next message.